welcoming a team of ATÖLYE, not ATÖLYE, that you all know. So this time it's Emel and Melissa who came here to share this story. There's other members from ATÖLYE today here. So they have gone through the hard process of becoming a B Corp, because I know it's a long process, and they're going to tell us all about that in a bit. So it's one of the most respected sustainability certifications we have currently in the market, and at least for what it seems, one of the most serious ones. It's quite a process. So we're gonna give, I don't know who wants to start. Melissa, Emel, welcome.
I can go ahead. Thank you so much.
Super.
It's great to be here, and it really does feel like a family brunch. It's my first sort of session. You all know ATÖLYE, but already I feel the sincerity even from the screen. So it's great to sort of be a part of this. I guess we can sort of start with maybe sharing the B Corp process. So, what sparked us to become a B Corp and how we became a B Corp, and then what that means for us now afterwards. Emel can perhaps share a little bit about the B Corp process, because she was the one who sort of spearheaded it and had to collect countless amounts of evidence to provide to the B Corp team in order to actually get the certificate. But for those who aren't maybe familiar with what B Corp is, it's sort of like an impact measurement system for your company to be able to measure your social and environmental impact. And you have 5 different sections that your company is assessed with, which is governance, workers, community, environment, and there was one more which I've forgotten right now. But it's Emel, you can help me.
Yeah, sure. Did we count customers?
Service. And customers. I keep forgetting the customers. I think that's probably for the best.
They're not important for the business, right?
Yeah, they're not important for the business. And you're basically provided a whole list of questions that you're meant to answer and sort of provide evidence showing that you have the intention of trying to improve yourself and become a force for good. So I'll start with that intro, and Emel, if you like, you can take on and explain a bit about the process, and then I can take over afterwards as well.
Sure. Thanks again, actually, to all of you, and it really feels so nice to be here. And like from now on, I would also like to join all of your branches. Like it feels really so
the
nice.
The invitation can be extended for
thank you.
The next editions.
Okay, so the B Corp process started. Actually, ATÖLYE already was intending to be impactful and implement impactful business and projects, but we were lacking a guide, actually, and B Corp at that stage became our guide. And now that there's the growing awareness, it is of course a beautiful thing, but the whole process was actually a long process, let's say one year and a half, and now it's even getting longer, because now there are more and more companies wanting to be a B Corp, which is a great thing, actually, like with the growing awareness of the climate and about the social impact that now we are facing many challenges, is becoming even more important. So when we started, like it's basically the as Melissa said, it's an impact measurement system divided in different groups, and as long as you reply the questions and providing evidence at first stage, there are, let's say, 140-ish questions, and you are going through all of them. Some of them require some more detailed work, and also it's a detailed work because you need it starts asking the questions from the past years. So you need to go the past years to bring those information and create a narrative, and you should grab the data and turn them into a narrative and also a meaningful, holistic sentence, let's say. And then yeah, as long as you reply the questions, there are new, more surprising questions coming up depending on your answers, and like new phases can open. But after a while, like until the first evaluation, they don't really ask for the proofs, but it's better to like start preparing them. Like if any of you are intending to be a B Corp, like we can also talk about it later, but then later on there's this proof process. After you are preparing your proof documents, then later on there's a verification process that you actually start speaking with some representative from B Corp, and they are actually very helpful in that, and they are making it very clear for you to understand what is needed or yeah, about this process. And this evaluation is taking long actually, but eventually, like when you get at least 85 points, then you're okay to go. If you're under 85 points, it's better if you evaluate yourself more, or like consider taking it the next year, so that, because during the evaluation period some points can lower down. So it's better to guarantee it at least, not to go lower. And eventually, like after everything goes well and there are a few processes of the verification, then once you become a B Corp, a whole new world opens before you, because it's again an evaluation system that you can always evaluate yourself. Also, you are becoming a member of a big community, not big, but like it's a very intense community actually. All the businesses that are trying to create impact, positive impact, and lower their negative impact. And you can share your experiences, or you can support each other. Just being inside this community is actually opening even more doors. So I mean, for us, the whole process of being a B Corp and the certification finished in August, and now we are still discovering the world of B Corp and the B Corp community. And this is, yeah, I think
a great summary.
All about the process.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, more on the operational side.
Super.
I can share a little bit about sort of the world that has opened up, as Emel said, once we became a B Corp. And I am wary of time, and I would love to leave space so that you can ask us questions. But one of the best parts about becoming a B Corp, I think, is the community. Again, there's an online community called the Beehive, which you automatically become a part of once you become a B Corp, and you can access resources about anything there. So we're trying to create an accessibility policy at the moment, and we're doing some benchmark research. I go into the Beehive, I search accessibility policy, and immediately I found an inclusion toolkit that was, created, and someone sort of shared it there. So that's really, really helpful. There's the B Corp Climate Collective, which actually has resources available to everyone. You don't actually have to become a B Corp to join that. But you do have access to additional resources as well. Once you become, I can share my screen just for a couple of seconds to show a few things.
We're good with time, so feel
perfect.
Free. Yes.
This is the sort of B Corp impact assessment website where you go in here, and these are where you answer your questions. But one really great tool that again is available to everyone, but is within Impact them if you like, is the Sustainable Development Goals Action Manager. So you can actually go in, answer some questions, and then see, what best action your company can take and where it's already creating impact and how you can measure that better. So it's been useful for us to create an impact framework that we can also apply with our clients. So we're trying to create this sort of holistic perspective, and we've been on JEDI, so Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusivity initiatives, and it's sort of all linked together now we're sort of seeing how we can combine them. So yeah, there's a lot of resources, which is great, and you can access. There's lots of new tools that are being created as well. I hope that provides a brief summary.
Super. No, and this is really helpful, I think, for everyone as well, because I think many of our hubs as well are like committed to improving their behavior. Like some of them are more into specific areas, some are more into environmental sustainability, others on social impact. A lot of them see that as a global thing anyway. But this, like, I'm very fascinated about this process anyway. So you have here also Melissa, for everyone who didn't notice, Melissa's sharing the website and the impact assessment website and the collective. So thank you so much, because this I think is super helpful. And there's tools, these are tools that people can go and explore, and it's for sure like a great learning tool. So Jessie, go ahead.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for the presentation. I thought it was very interesting. I just don't know if I misunderstood or I didn't get it. You were with the ATÖLYE in this, or you were with your individual with ATÖLYE? Okay.
With ATÖLYE, yes.
Okay, thank you. And
No
what
worries.
does it mean, like, for the individual companies that your members have? Does it also have an effect on them?
On the individuals within the company?
Yes, let's say, and their companies.
Mm-hmm. So ATÖLYE is a company with community members as well as team members. So actually our community members and team members, if they want to, they can access the Beehive resources area, which is that is the private sort of B Corp area. But there's also training available. I promise you, it's a world which will take some time to explore, because there are so many resources, which can be quite overwhelming. But if you do have a dedicated person working towards this, and you have smaller teams, so we just created our climate circle, and we're 6 people, and now we're like, okay, wow. So last year we had sort of 30 people in a main climate group, sort of chatting, doing some things. Now we're like, okay, we actually need a dedicated team of people across ATÖLYE working just on climate. So what should we do? And then we can go in and access all those tools.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, I can make a little addition there. When it comes to the broad benefit for the community members as well as the team members, I think the constant push that comes from B Corp to be more impactful, to be more diverse, to establish more equity mechanisms, in the long term, it's in the benefit of community, because we constantly think about those kind of terms. As of we got this certification from B Corp, and our thinking is being shaped through those kind of impactful approaches in a way, and that in the long term affects the way that the community got engaged in our processes.
Thank you. That's super valuable. Pepe, go ahead.
I do remember for ATÖLYE, it was very important, this process of curating the community. Like, I don't know, you have a kind of percentage of kind of people, dedication. And I'm wondering if this whole thing about B Corp affected the way you made this curation, or maybe the way that the companies or individuals working in ATÖLYE are doing their things. I mean, how was this? Not only the benefits for the members, but also the duties maybe that they have had to overcome, or what is the relationship actually in between this B Corp and the individuals or members or companies within ATÖLYE?
I think maybe we could mention the fact that this year our community board for the Istanbul hub has actually been focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we decided for 3 months. So within our own team, we released a JEDI policy at the end of last year, trying to create some commitments that we need to do to one another within our own team. So that started with a survey 2 years ago, finding out our own demographics, our own ideas of what belonging is, our own ideas of, are we actually inclusive enough? Are we diverse enough? And some of those answers were no. And I think that's the honest way to go. And that's how we need to be transparent to each other. So now we've taken that to the community, and they were involved, by the way, in the process of by giving feedback and having a brainstorm session. But now they're responsible for bringing this question to the community as well. So we're going to be doing a survey there. They're coming up with ideas of what events they would like to see. So maybe that's just one example. And Emel and Atılım, I don't know if you'd like to share some more examples of how it's influenced the community side of things.
Was this, I'm just not sure if this is the question from Pepe. From what I understood, you already also tried to host people in your space that already had some kind of impact. Is that correct, Pepe?
Sorry, go ahead.
Pepe was referring to the curation criteria that we were previously communicating to the whole network. Our curation criteria always had some kind of diversity component on it, and that diversity component changed depending on which area we are focusing in that particular 3 years scheme strategically. So basically, so far we have like diversity criteria around disciplines of people, like gender diversity, cultural diversity. We apply those kind of diversity criteria into our community, and that has been like that since the beginning. Like we are applying the same diversity criteria for maybe 7 years now. But with this B Corp process, we still didn't change those diversity criteria radically, but we changed the processes that we go through with this impact assessments. In a way, the diversity criteria is still there, but people see more and more process-related items when we apply those kind of JEDI policy-related work groups, climate change circles, and Slack groups. Those are the things that people see that are changing in our lives.
Super. Thank you. I have more questions, everyone.
Thank you.
I would also like to know, like, as a business, because I think of course, like, this is the tool that will be what differentiates businesses, like, in the near future. This is already happening, like the kind of how the impact or the positive impact a business has as one of the most competitive advantages in a market. And I would like to know from your experience if you feel that something has changed as well in terms of business, even though, like, I imagine it's a very internal process and not so much not just related to the business, but of course there's also this part, and that probably improves as well. That, like, do you feel that has changed a lot so far, or you haven't even, like, had a time to assess that yet?
Well, for 2022, one of the main pillar heads for our strategy has become the word impact. So I think it definitely has influenced ATÖLYE's sort of perspective. The dream is to be able to have projects that actually create positive impact, and that's the sort of way we're trying to go towards. So choosing what clients we would like to work with and which ones we would not like to work with ever, I think. And being able to sort of measure the impact within those projects individually as well. Please feel free to add anything again, Emel and Atılım.
Yeah, that was a perfect summary, Melissa. I think we need to also clarify that this is, I mean, a recent process that we also got embarked into. And I think we will see the impact of these processes in the long run a lot more. But the interventions that Melissa mentioned already affected our strategy in a solid way, because I mean, since the beginning of our establishment, we have been always talking about impact, and that was always in our presentations, in our like storytelling and everywhere. I think we do that as like all hubs. But when it comes to measurement of something, it dramatically changed your processes. And then the way that you measure those kind of impactful work also affect the way that you put down your strategy. So it was the first time, as Melissa mentioned, we have some measurable metrics for 2022 when it comes to impact-oriented work. And as of this year, we are actually putting a lot of effort to measure like how much impact we create through our projects, how much impact we create through our community kind of stuff. Before, it was more like a narrative that we always use, like we do impactful work, we all run impactful creative hubs, those kind of things. But when it comes to measurement, it seriously changed your processes in a way.
Yes, that's the most challenging. I think the impact measurements probably. So that's one of the things, like you have the right tools now to be able to measure the tangibles and the non-tangibles, because I think that's the hardest thing, right?
Yeah. And it's when it comes to affecting our strategy, like since it started to affect our vision also, and we started engaging this impact vision through all our processes, but also projects and implementations. So the way we curate projects has also changed. The partners we choose to collaborate with, the projects we choose to take part in. So having this impact lens also, in a way that with all these metrics, change all the processes and all the engagement efforts actually in that way.
Great.
So yeah, just something to add in that way.
Thank you. Pepe?
I just was wondering if this new process to assess impact you had these tools from B Corp, or you created themselves, you gave them yourselves. And yes, that will be the first question, and the second one will be if some of them you are willing to share with the community.
Good idea, Pepe.
The B Corp tool for assessment is provided by them completely. There's a website which I also shared in the chat, but please feel free to reach out to us after this call to have a more in-depth conversation if you'd like to. And other tools that are freely available that have been useful so far, of course, we can share with you. We can share more of our processes, some of the questions that are available, what maybe went well, what we could have done better, which means if you do decide to sort of apply as well. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, there is so much stuff in that link, Pepe. I seriously suggest like you go and check this impact assessment website that Melissa shared. There are some frameworks which were quite useful for us to understand what we do, but at the same time, we also thought like some frameworks do not really fit on what we are doing and do not really fit on the things that we would like to measure. So we are also trying to create our own frameworks when it comes to calculate like how much impact we could create through some particular projects and partnerships. So we are also on the process of developing our own frameworks inspired by those impact assessments frameworks provided by B Corp.
Wow.
I think this is something very, very necessary, because you have a framework that is general, is kind of international, and then you have to adapt it to your local specificities and your own specificities as a place or kind of community and so on. So it's amazing. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No worries. I think definitely I'm glad you mentioned that again, ATÖLYE, because the local sides and the needs that come from the bottom obviously feed in from this generalized kind of impact measurement, but you can create something more. And in the end, B Corp is looking at your entire business for good, and you can get more points because you have to be assessed every 3 years. But in the end, you really need to be turning those into actions, and you as a company need to be measuring those actions, which is harder to, I think, express through evidence. What has really changed, what hasn't changed, what are we still doing in a good way, what are we not doing in a good way, what needs to develop. So those are more kind of qualitative, I think, conversations, which doesn't fit obviously in an impact measurement. Those are interviews, those are other things. Sorry, Jesse, you have a question.
Yes, thank you. I think it's very in line still with Pepe's, but still quite different. Just to really get it clear in my head, like, can you give like a very specific example, like tip of the iceberg, like what's changed? What, for instance, did you change after you did these assessments and you focused on impact? Like, just super specific, something small that I can understand.
Okay, something really specific, creating a code of ethics. We're working on creating a proper code of ethics at the moment. There was a small document, but now it's actually being developed more to, I think, have better standards, trying to create a climate justice policy, things like this.
And the carbon offset, maybe.
Yeah, carbon offsetting is a great example. So we decided to offset our flights and our electricity usage from last year, which obviously is a balancing thing. So at some point, it would be great to be able to turn that into reduction, not just offsetting. But it's a start. It's a start.
Obviously. Wow.
Cool. Thank you. That's a very good example. Thank you.
Thanks,
some sharing from Elid Nisa on the chat as well. Knowing the impact and the risks beforehand through inclusive frameworks will also influence the stakeholders and the clients within the projects to explore their abilities in inclusivity as well. Yes, this is like the sort of the thing that spreads in a very positive way. It's like the positive contamination. I think also this for probably everyone in your network or that deals with you, at least even for the people who are not so directly into this yet. It like shines a light and it brings something, it sparks something. So I think that's also really interesting about this phenomenon. We have room for one last question. Anyone?
I would have a very short question. This impact assessment, does it gives you kind of label of something like that? So that if you're going through this process and I don't know.
There is a certification for B Corp Wolf. So if you go through these processes and then manage to accomplish these processes with B Corp, then you become a B Corp company, and then they give you B Corp certification. But I mean, you can do this assessment on your own without consulting them. That's also fine. But in order to get the certification, you need to make an application, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is international. Is it an international standard or is it?
Yes, I think it's actually in sustainability. Yes, I think it's the most well-known. I knew this for products, so they do verify not just companies but products as well. So you have like one instance is Patagonia. It's a B Corp company, and it's one of the fashion industries, like the ones that are more focused and at least openly tackling this. I don't know if you know about other examples, ATÖLYE.
Yeah, there are many, and I'm sure in some of your countries you can find those B Corp entities as well. There was a list that was showing all the companies in a map. Maybe we can find that somewhere.
I think locally it's a B Corp lab, I think, usually.
Okay. And does this give you any advantages? Like there's something similar in France, and if you have this kind of label, you can like apply for supports as a non-profit organization. Is there something similar, this B Corp label?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't understand the question.
Yeah, so in France, there's something similar where a profit company can go through this process, and then they get a label, and then they can apply for subventions, support, whatever, as an association, as a non-profit association. Is there something similar in this B Corp?
I haven't seen that B Corp was a requirement in any kind of application process yet, but this is one of the most well-known certification when it comes to impact-oriented work and impactful frameworks. So basically, whenever you need a kind of proof that you are actually impactful organization, this is the certification that you could provide to everything. But so far, I haven't encountered any kind of situation where they ask you to become a B Corp to apply for something. Maybe it will be like that in the future, but it's not the case now, as far as I know.
How long
I'd also like to.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, I would just like to add one more thing. So obviously, this certificate, you can put it on your website and say, hey, I'm being an impactful company. But I think the message as well is, it's not just, okay, I've become an impactful company. It's actually, I'm trying to become an accountable company to myself, to my community, to my employees. And I'm not just going to stop here. I'm going to strive to do better each time. I think that's also what the certificate means, which I think has a better weight to it than, a lot of people can sort of put something there, and it might not mean anything. But everyone here, I'm sure, in this community, that's the main part that you're looking at as well.
A great addition, Melissa.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And it's just to close the question, this is also like a long process, because one of the things, because I think also Wolf entered a little bit later, this is like a long process because they're going to assess all your procedures to make sure that's why it's a very complete certification, because it's usually also a very long process. It's not something you apply and within a few months. Or for how long has it been for you?
1.5 years it was.
1.5 years. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So it's a great time actually to know about you and to rethink about your work.
Yeah, of course. It makes sense that it's like a long...
Emel, you had lots of fun.
Sorry?
I said you had lots of fun, didn't you?
Surely I did.
Guys, thank you so much. I think we're gonna, because 1 hour is our time frame, and usually people have other meetings after this, so we'll try to keep it. It was lovely to hear about this. Really, congratulations to the whole team and for getting into this. I think this was really, really inspiring. And feel free as well to participate in the brunches in the next editions. You're more than welcome anytime, and it's not a joke.
Thank
you really are more than welcome. And from my side, this is it. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.